always a little slower, pesky Facebook. So, all right, I think we are live on both. So happy Tuesday. Welcome everybody. We've got Facebook and Instagram here for Certified PA Consulting, Certified Physician Assistant Consulting. So welcome, welcome. We're doing Tuesday Town Hall every single Tuesday, 12:30 East Coast. We are answering your questions related to the business of being a PA. Salaries, negotiating contracts, business startups, and everything in between. So we've got a couple of great topics. Thank you for those who send in your questions and have joined the Town Hall community. It's great because a lot of people have similar questions, and then we can consolidate and we can get information out every single week. So we always have at least 2 different topics every week, sometimes 3. And these videos stay on Certified PA Consulting Facebook as well as IGTV. And we just brand new started a YouTube channel. So Certified Physician Assistant Consulting has a YouTube channel now. It's brand new in 2021. So these videos are getting segmented by category onto the YouTube channel as well. So hopefully you've been able to catch our videos this year. We've done a couple so far on conflict resolution, toxic personalities, dealing with competition in the workplace. Last week we talked about calculating your numbers if you don't get salary reports. So that was a really important one. If you missed it, go back and catch it. And we also talked about why salary reports are just one tool out of many to use when you're negotiating your contract. So if you missed those, go back and watch them on Facebook, Instagram, or on YouTube. Today, we've got a couple of great topics. I will try and see your questions and comments, so feel free to write them in. I'll try and see as we go. Mostly, I'm going off questions that were sent in from our Town Hall community. If you want to join the community, it is 100% free. Just email team@Certified PA Consulting, and I think there is now a link on our website. You can just go there and join. There's a quick survey where you can write your questions, and that's how we know what to talk about and what questions to answer, because a lot of people have similar questions. So you can join, it's free, and we will make sure that we get to your questions on the Tuesday Town Halls. So these are designed to be about 30 minutes long, and I make sure I answer at least 2 questions, if not 3. Sometimes I can even squeeze in a 4th. So hopefully they are valuable for you. Again, I'm Kasey D'Amato. For those of you who don't know me, I am a PA. I own multiple businesses. I've sold businesses. I've been a manager in a medical practice, multi-million-dollar medical practice. So I've been there, done it all. I get it. I understand career burnout. I understand career acceleration. I've been negotiating and teaching negotiating skills since 2009, Certified PA Consulting. We've been around for some time, and we are here to help you on your career journey. So without further ado, let's talk about our first topic for today. And if you're on Facebook, I have these little sticky notes so I can write down some key bullet points. So the first topic that we're talking about is personal budgeting on a PA salary. So this is super important. Hopefully you registered for our free webinar tomorrow night. We're talking about student loans, which is really closely connected to this personal budgeting topic. So I made some notes. I wanted to make sure I didn't forget anything. So there's a couple of things you really want to remember when you're thinking about personal budgeting. Most people don't consciously pay attention to their spending habits and the money that's coming in. So number 1 is you've got to pay attention and put it on paper and know your numbers. So what do I mean by that? Pull up an Excel document, blank, or a Word document, and in one chart, list all the money that comes into your bank account every month. So most likely that's in a form of a paycheck or your significant other's paycheck, or both. Maybe you have something else. Maybe you have a rental property, or maybe you have dividends from something. So, or you have a side hustle, whatever it is. In one list, all the money that comes into your account from any area. So you've got one list. This is the money that comes in per month. Then make a separate chart on the same page or on your Word document if you don't like Excel. Excel is better for this, you guys, because it will add all the numbers up for you. On a separate chart on the same page, it's time to list your expenses, but break them into 2 categories. So when you're breaking down your expenses, break them into what's fixed, things that don't really change every month. So that would be your rent or your mortgage payment, your car payment, anything else that really doesn't change a whole lot and it's really always there. And you can kind of average utilities in there too. So sort of your electric bill, if you average $75 a month or $200 a month, whatever it is, put down kind of the average number because you're going to be paying electric no matter what. So put down everything that is really fixed in one column and then things that are variable in the other column. And these things are things that are recreational or they're not really necessities per se. So this would be your eating out or entertainment, concerts, sporting events, camping, boat expenses, RV expenses, things like that. This can also be, so if you have children, this can be extraneous childcare activities, extracurricular activities, things like that can go here as well, because this category is a sliding scale. You sort of have some wiggle room on what you can move or not move. So now it's time to add up everything in your expense category with your fixed expenses and your variable expenses. Now, make sure you're including any type of investment in there as well. So that means if you are contributing to a IRA, or if you are paying life insurance or disability insurance, anything like that, or you invest in mutual funds, anything like that, or your savings account, list that as a line item on your variable expenses. Right? So everything should be there. Every single thing that's an average monthly expense on your fixed costs, a separate category for your variable costs, add them all together. Now, the name of the game is there should be more money on the column that's coming into your bank account than when you add the 2 columns up that are going out of your bank account. And you want to have about a 10% buffer on the money that goes out for unforeseen expenses. Something happens to your house, or there's an accident, or you're out of work, or whatever. So you want to have a little buffer there that's going into kind of that rainy day fund, for things like that. So you want to make sure, and you've got to write it down. You've got to look at it. So many people just go through life and they're getting that paycheck after PA school and they have all these expenses and they don't understand why they're living paycheck to paycheck. Well, if you are somebody and you find out that there's more money going out, or it's exactly down to almost the dollar equal to what's coming into what's going out, that's too close. That is too close for comfort. Something has to change. So that means you can change 2 things. You can either change how much money is coming in, which means renegotiating your salary, maybe changing specialties, maybe moving, maybe getting a side hustle or something that you can do, or side gig that you can do to generate income. Either you figure out a way to get more money coming in, or you have to adjust things that are either fixed or variable. Now, here's what most people don't realize. Those quote unquote fixed costs are only fixed if you think they're fixed, because ultimately, if you're really attached to those variable expenses and that lifestyle, sometimes you have to make hard decisions and change some of those fixed costs. And what does that mean? That means maybe downsizing. Maybe you reduce your mortgage or your rent payment so that you can keep those variable expenses if that's what's important to you. So you have to think about personal budgeting as a lever. There's money coming in, and then there's 2 categories of money going out, that fixed expenses and the variable expenses. And if they're out of alignment where too much money is going out compared to what's coming in, then you have 2 options. You either figure out how to get more money coming in, or you have to figure out how to preserve the money that's either in your fixed or variable expense buckets and reallocate those. So many times we hear PAs that are financially stressed. They feel like they don't have enough money. And these are PAs making well into the 6 figures, and they're so excited about becoming a PA and getting that first job. And what's the first thing they do is they go buy a house and buy a new car, buy all these things. And before you know it, they have more money going out than coming in, and they feel financially strapped. And think about the budget you lived on as a student. Now, you don't want to go back to those days necessarily, but sometimes we get ahead of ourselves, and it's better to be slower and make other investments that will invest long term, so that 5 years, 10 years, then you have that cushion. You're more relaxed. You're not financially stressed anymore. So as a student, okay, financial stresses are going to be there. It's tough to navigate those roads with a lot of student loans and things like that. But once you are working, there's no excuse not to get a handle on your personal budget. And that is how you learn how to pay off your student loans, which we're talking about tomorrow night on the webinar. So make sure that you have a handle on your personal budget. Don't get trapped in living paycheck to paycheck after all this time and money that you invested in your career as a PA. Make sure you're setting yourself up for financial success so that you have that extra cash in the bank for cushion. You can be more selective when you're interviewing and applying for new jobs because you don't have that financial pressure. You can invest in other opportunities as they present themselves and take advantage. That's myself and my husband have done that multiple times. For people who know us, we like real estate. So when opportunities present themselves, we can jump on that. So make sure that you're setting yourself up to be able to have some freedom and flexibility, and don't get trapped without knowing your numbers. Don't put your head in the sand. If you're a shopper out there, don't put your head in the sand. It's okay if you're a shopper. Let's just assign a certain amount of money in that variable budget for the shopping, for Amazon, whatever it is. It's okay, but know what the number is and know what that budget is so that every month you don't exceed it, and make sure that you still have more money coming in than is going out, so that you can keep yourself in a place of financial freedom at any stage of your career as soon as you are a working PA. Do not get ahead of yourself. And if it's time to sit down and have a hard conversation about changing those fixed costs and changing that mortgage or rent payment or car or whatever it is to get yourself to a place of financial freedom, this is not forever. This is just temporarily, because when you have more cash, you can do more investments. You can get more selective with your job, wait for a higher salary. There's all sorts of things. So it's only a very short-term sacrifice for a very long-term gain. So make sure you are paying attention to personal budgeting. Okay, that was a great question, and I'm glad that came in about personal budgeting. The second topic that we are talking about today is non-compete clauses. So this, in my opinion, is the number one most important element of a contract. Why? If your non-compete is super restrictive, that means it's going to be very difficult to leave and work anywhere else without moving. And that's not ideal. There's other elements of the contract that can be negotiated, and things, if you needed to leave that job, you can negotiate in a new job. But if your non-compete is so strict that you really can't work anywhere in your state, that's a huge problem and a trap that a lot of PAs fall into. So let's define the purpose of a non-compete. The purpose of a non-compete is so that you don't take business and hurt the practice that you're working for now currently. Nobody wants to do that. No PA wants to do that. That's illegal to solicit patients, so you can't do that. It is illegal. But the non-compete is designed so that you don't hurt your existing business if you were to move away. Non-competes were not designed and are not intended to make you an indentured servant that you can't work anywhere in your state. So they are designed so that you don't hurt and impact the current practice where you are currently working if you were to leave. So remember that. So when you're negotiating, it really should be a deal breaker that the non-compete needs to be something that's reasonable, that both parties can live with, that the practice owner feels like you would work someplace that's far enough away that patients wouldn't seek you out and it wouldn't hurt their business, that they've invested a lot of time and money to grow. They own their patients. Even if you've been the only one to ever see them, it doesn't matter. The practice owns the patients. That's the law. So figure out a radius that makes sense so that the practice owner is comfortable that you're not going to take patients, they're not going to seek you out, but also you can find further employment and support yourself. So there's a couple of points. Let's walk through them. One, you should never owe money when you leave a practice. That should never happen in any W-2 or 1099 contract. As an employee, you should never owe your employer money. That's a big no-no. That is not acceptable in an employee contract in any industry, especially in medicine. As an employee or an independent contractor, you should not owe the practice money. Now, if you are a partner, that's a different ballgame. That's a different ballgame because you have ownership responsibilities and things like that. So you may owe money and all those are some of the nuances with partnerships that people don't think about. But as an employee at free will, which is most states, you can leave. You won't owe the practice money. So make sure that your non-compete does not say anything about owing the practice money. There should be a reasonable radius. Reasonable is going to be different no matter the type of location you're in. So are you in a rural location, a suburban, or an urban location? Because a non-compete is very different in Manhattan or in Santa Monica, where my practice is. That's very different than a non-compete in Omaha, Nebraska, or in a suburb of Georgia. Those are going to be very different type of non-competes. So if you're in an urban setting, your non-compete might be like 3 or 5 miles. If you're in a suburban setting, then ideally your target would be get as close to 10 miles, 10 as you can. If it's 12 or 15, probably acceptable, right? But sometimes with our clients, we see 50 miles or more. That is way too far, way too far. If you're going to the next town over or 2 towns, maybe a 20 or 30 minute commute, that's within reason. You can still find employment and support your family, and you're getting to the point where patients are probably not going to follow you if you're getting too far from the original practice. So an urban setting, ideally, try to get to 3 to 5 miles. That's probably far enough that most patients wouldn't follow you. And that's reasonable to most employers. And in a suburban setting, shoot for 10. You might have to settle around the 15 mark. And, I think that's probably okay and acceptable for most people. If you can get by without a non-compete clause, then that's fantastic. Then if things don't work out, you can part ways amicably, give plenty of notice, be professional, make sure you help with your replacement, and you can move on to another opportunity. The last point on non-competes is make sure your non-compete only applies to the one location where you are working. We're seeing more and more and more consolidated groups, meaning private equity or venture capital or some other entity that's buying up a lot of private practices in multiple locations in one state. And in some instances, over 100 locations. Well, even if your non-compete is 10 or 15 miles, but from 100 different locations, that's going to block you from working in most of your state. So make sure, triple check the language in your non-compete, that you're only focused on the location where you are working. If you work from 2, then identify those 2 locations. That's it. Make sure the mileage is reasonable and acceptable to you and your practice. So shoot for that 3 to 5 miles urban, aim for 10 miles suburban. It might be 15, but something that's reasonable for everybody involved. Getting up to that 50-mile radius that's too far. That's too big to have to commute an hour and a half or something like that. That's not reasonable if you were to leave. So make sure you do not owe money. So those are the big things with non-compete clauses, which in my opinion is the number one most important element of a contract. Because if everything else is not working about the practice where you are, you can always plan for a graceful and professional exit and look for new opportunities. The only reason why you would not be able to do that is if your non-compete is too restrictive. So make sure when you go into a new agreement that the non-compete is reasonable, because if everything else falls apart and you hate it there, you can always plan a professional exit. So I wanted to make sure we talked about that and really got to dive deep on non-compete clauses, because it's super, super, super important. One of the most, I believe, the most important element of a contract. is that non-compete clause, because that's what essentially traps you. Otherwise, you are free to move on to other opportunities. Again, in a professional way with plenty of notice, helping train your replacement. Don't leave employers high and dry. Always keep bridges intact and professionalism always. You never know who you're going to need a reference from. And medicine's a small community. You never know who knows people. So always exit in a professional manner, always. So I wanted to add one more topic today because I'm donating an hour a day to hop into different Facebook groups and provide some free coaching and free mentoring based on my experience. Again, I own multiple businesses. I've managed a multi-million-dollar medical practice. I've sold companies. I've raised a couple $1 million of capital. I have a plethora of information, and I know a lot of other PAs do as well. And in 2021, I'm really committed to helping others. So you'll probably see me in a lot of different chat groups. Feel free to tag me if you see a chat going on related to salary, negotiating, business, or burnout, and I will hop in there and I will give you some tips and next steps on how to deal with those things. So I wanted to, right now, there was a conversation going on in one of the Facebook groups. I think it might have been the PA entrepreneur group with PAs who want to either grow their micro business or their own business, and they're feeling stuck. And what do you do if you're feeling stuck and you're trying to grow your micro business, which means your patient following within a bigger business, your own kind of ecosystem, or if you're trying to start your own business or side hustle or side gig and you feel stuck, what do you do? So I thought that was a great question. So I wanted to sneak it in today. I know we might go a couple minutes past 30 minutes. So just 4 points on if you're feeling stuck. Number one, reassess why you want to grow your micro business or your business. And so many times I ask people why they want to start a business or grow their micro business, and they'll give me a response like, well, I'm really passionate. I like business. That's not exactly a why. So really hone in for yourself. Why? Why do you want to do this business? Is it because you think you'll make more money? Is it because you think you'll have more flexible time? Is it because you think you'll have more control over decision making? Is it because you want to build a company to sell or build a company to pass down to your children? Why are you pursuing this business or growing your micro business? So number one, really identify why. So if you're feeling stuck in growing your business or your micro business, think about why do you want to grow it in the first place? Ultimately, why? And be honest with yourself about it. Be truly honest with yourself. You have to know why you want to do it, because then you can measure and calculate every step of the way if you're getting closer to that, either more money, more time, whatever it is. Now, spoken by myself, who is a serial entrepreneur, I can tell you that most business owners do not necessarily have more time. I can promise you that, at least at the beginning. So new businesses take a lot of time. So if that is your motivation, be a little careful on that one. Okay. The second one is write down your obstacles. Identify them and quantify them. What are you stuck with? Specifically, why are you stuck with getting your business to the next step? Is it that you're not sure how to attract your patient, client, customer? Is it that you're not sure how to put together your financial forecast? Is it that you're not sure how to set up your corporate structure? Is it that you're not sure if you should hire a team member to help you? What one reason, what's the one thing that is making your business not successful right now? And it's you, I promise, it's your mind. What is the reason? Write it down, specify it, because you could feel stuck in every area, but it's not every area that's holding you back. Think about what makes a successful business. And I'll tell you a secret, what makes successful business is patients, customers, and clients. So if you have those coming in, everything else can get figured out. So really think about, and for examples, which is my next point, look for either mentors who have done it, peers or colleagues who are going through the startup process themselves, experts who have done it and written about it and speak about it and teach about it. And what did those people do? What elements of how they grew their practice or business can you apply? So if attracting patients, clients, customers is your challenge, then start interviewing people. Start interviewing other people and ask them, how did you get your patients, clients, customers? And then start brainstorming for yourself. If that's your hurdle, interview other people who have done it, mentors, peers, or experts, a collection of everybody. All those different categories can bring value. Don't stay stuck in the peer group, because peers are struggling. Unfortunately, they've done some things well, but they're stuck at this. They're getting stuck in kind of going through a lot of the same. So it's great to share and collaborate and brainstorm with peers. It's a great tool to brainstorm. But really look also to the experts and mentors. So whether it's us at Certified PA Consulting or whoever might be for you, and look and see and reach out and find out what are common elements. Because I promise you, every business is fundamentally structured the same way. You need your patient, client, or customer, right? You need revenue coming in. You need a financial forecast. You need to know your budget. You need to set up your legal and your accounting foundation. And then you need to start to hire your team to help you execute everything that needs to be done day to day. And then you need to measure your metrics, your key performance indicators. Whole another business topic that we will save for another day. So I wanted to remind everybody that successful business is 80% psychology and 20% execution. And that is so true. It's in your mind. If you believe you can do it, and then you take an action step to do it, and it's okay if you fail, learn and do it again. That's how business owners succeed. It's different than medicine. So if you're feeling stuck, it's probably fear of failing. Wipe that away. In business, it's a whole different game than medicine. In medicine, we don't want to fail. Patient care is number one importance. In business, it's different. You can do small tests in business, and you can grow in kind of micro steps and measure things. Some things will work well, some things won't work well, and that's okay. And then you learn and you do it again. So if you're feeling stuck, check in with yourself that it's not fear of failure, because in business, the failures, the micro failures are what's going to lead you to success over time. So it's 80% psychology and 20% execution. You've got to believe you can do it, and you have to actually do it in small steps. Stop just reading and researching. You've got to get out there and do it. Success is not based on education. If that was true, then every PhD would be a multi-billionaire, and that's not the case. So success in business is not based solely on education. It is not. It is based on psychology and execution. You do need knowledge of your industry, but that's always growing. That's an ongoing process. So don't let that hold you back either, that you're trying to learn one more thing before you start and learn one more thing. Learning is forever. That's a forever process. So mindset, psychology, and execution, it's where it's at if you're feeling stuck. All right, everybody, I went a couple minutes over. I hope you had a great Tuesday Town Hall. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Please register for the Town Hall. It's free. Send your questions in. We'll be sure to answer them on Tuesdays. If you haven't signed up for our 7-week free webinar series on the business of being a PA, student loans, salaries, negotiating, starting a business, side hustles, and everything in between, make sure you go to our website and register for the free webinar series. It is February and March 2021. So make sure you get registered there. You can catch the videos on YouTube. We've got free guides on the website you can download for negotiating and success. We've got another one coming out next week on business. And I think that's it, everybody. Tag me if you're in a Facebook group and someone's chatting about salary negotiating or contract or business, and I will jump in. I'm committing 1 hour a day, donating my time inside different groups. So hopefully I can bring value. If I'm not bringing value, please just tell me to be quiet and go away. I won't be offended. Okay, everybody, have a great Tuesday, and I will see you next Tuesday, 12:30 East Coast, on our weekly Town Hall Lives at Certified PA Consulting. Have a great day.